Welcome to UNDP's Biofin's podcast. It's a biodiversity finance initiative, and we're here in the context of the Latin American and Caribbean regional meeting discussing finance for nature. I'm very happy to share with me and to be here with my colleague Juan Camilo Pinto. He is a special advisor on finance and private sector to the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development of Colombia, a country that's hosting next COP16. Thank you for being here today with us. Can you share with us, when a country hosts a biodiversity COP, it certainly gives you an opportunity to, and traction to move the agenda forward in terms of biodiversity at the national and also at the global level. Can you tell us a little bit about how Colombia is integrating finance into the preparations towards COP, but also during COP, what are the expectations of the Colombian government on this? What are the opportunities you see for the region, but also for the world on moving forward the agenda on increasing finance for nature?
I think as a host country, we have a huge opportunity to position innovative financial mechanisms, right? We want to sort of expand on the solutions that we have, but actually bring some innovation to it, because we actually believe that in this innovative space, some financial solutions are going to have a great effect. So I would say that's the first thing that we're pushing. Second, we're pushing on sort of a combined approach towards climate change and biodiversity, right? Because as we know, financing sometimes flows to the same objectives, strategically designed in a different way, but those flows can actually complement. So I think that complementary analysis and joint negotiation is also a very strong point that we want to bring forward. I think in terms of setting the agenda, the structuring of the fund, that it's actually going to give us the resources to implement the framework is fundamental. And in that conversation, we are discussing what is the best way to structure this, right? Because we cannot continue just putting small amounts of money and just hoping that they're gonna, sort of compound and build something bigger. I think that's another thing that we have very clear. And I would say that as another fundamental pillar, we have private sector engagement, right? So the idea is we need the private sector to come and fulfill some of these investments, right? It's been said in many fora that we need the private sector to mobilize some resources to make permanent change. We believe that, but we also believe that as a government, we have to, put the conversation that governments need to sort of provide the funding as a guarantee so private investment can come. I think if you ask, the DSI segment of the negotiations is fundamental for us, right? Because that just an equitable sharing of genetic resources and digital sequence chains of genetic resources is fundamental for the development of any country, because it opens the fiscal space and it allows for funding to come straight into the pockets of the government, and then they can reinvest it in biodiversity. I think at the global level, positioning the need to actually close the gap of financing among countries in an innovative way and bring the whole ecosystem of financing together. And as the work we've been doing with the TAG, also know what is biodiversity and how to report it and how to align those flows. It's fundamental for us.
As you mentioned, the finance gap is still very big at the global level, but also at the country level. We're talking about $700 billion of a financial gap from now until 2030. And we also have the harmful subsidy agenda, right? We talk about $500 billion invested on harmful subsidies every year. We know that we can increase funding to benefit biodiversity and a nature-positive economy, but if we don't decrease nature-negative investments, we won't reach the targets we're aiming for. How do you think, for example, in Colombia, Biofin has been working with some development institutions, with the government, in working to reduce harmful subsidies and also to increase positive investments. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So first of all, I do have to say that we are very thankful with Biofin. The work that we've done as a government with them to structure and analyze our financial flows has been great, right? Like from the from analyzing the harmful incentives part on the agricultural side, that was a biofin-led work that gave us insights on, okay, what are our main subsidies and what are sort of the measures that we need to take to do it. That was a work that's been done with biofin. Updating the NBSAP, like our National Biodiversity Action Plan, was something that was done in conjunction with biofin. They've been supporting this, and they've given us really interesting insights on how we're thinking the joint, sort of the juxtaposition of the private sector goals with the financing goals, and sort of what are the nuanced details that we have to bring to this equation to better understand it. I would say the other part, for example, for the launch of the socio-ecological transition portfolios, we've been working with biofin to understand where are those private investments, what's the appetite for private investors to come in, and what are those investments? So, in conjunction with what biofin has been doing in support with UNDP and us, we've been trying to figure out how that portfolio is better structured. That's also something that, from the lenses of biodiversity, is very important, because some of these portfolios are sometimes skewed towards climate change. And I think that's also a very important contribution of the program. And I think the fourth one is, honestly, just being able to have this very great technical support. So, for example, we rely on some of the methodology of biofin because it's so widespread and it's so in-depth in analysis that actually our understanding of our finances, of the flows, and of the conversations, be it in Colombia, be it with you at the Tech, it's been amazing because it has set us sort of apart. And, the reworking that biofin is doing now with the private sector to sort of align this, we find that pioneer, right? Because you can have finance running one way, and then you can have private sector interest going on another way. But I think biofin has been doing a great job in trying to align this. And, sometimes we have our differences, right? But I believe that the engagement with biofin has been overall extremely positive for Colombia. And, demonstration of this is the expansion that you've been having. So, on behalf of the government, the only thing that we have are good comments. I think as we move forward, we have other areas that we have to explore. The work on harmful incentives, it's not done. We still have 4 areas of priority that we want to work. The work with the financial sector to sort of understand the importance of the pillar of biodiversity is fundamental. And I think something that, we might want to touch upon is that relationship between how the NBSAP and the NDCs are going to work and all that stuff. And I think that, it's also a work that we've been conceptualizing with biofin. And yeah, in general, I would say it's a positive experience. That would be my summary, looking at from my interactions and the work we've been doing now for many years.
And I think that also hosting the COP will give you an opportunity to connect what's being discussed for nature, including finance, with the climate change COP that will be hosted in Brazil next year. So really the region is hosting 2 global events that will allow us, give us an opportunity to integrate and send a message globally that we need to integrate both agendas through different ways, including finance. So thank you very much, Juan Camilo. This has been great. Thank you everybody for joining us today.